Well, a very good evening and thanks for clicking on to the Saturday edition of Vogan's European Outlook. There's a lot of excitement, hype about a storm system that is now developing that is going to make impact on the southern half of the British Isles over the course of tomorrow night and into Monday. A lot of comparisons to 1987. Let's have a look and boil down the meteorology, the details that make up such a strong storm system. But first of all, you can see here as the sun set over Europe, the satellite picked up a very impressive low pressure presentation over the North Atlantic, and I asked Matt Taylor of the BBC how deep was that low, and certainly over the course of this morning the pressure was down to around 964 in millibars, so certainly one of the stronger systems of the autumn so far. But amazingly, this has got nothing to do with the system that we're going to see impacting the southern half of the British Isles tomorrow night. But let's have a look further back. Let's look at some of the details, the ingredients that make up such a storm. Of course, we've seen a very warm summer, therefore leading to warmer than normal conditions surrounding the UK in terms of the water temperature. Of course, those water temperatures have been warmer than normal over recent years. In fact, it extends back to the 1980s. The reason being is the Atlantic and the Pacific go through a decadal temperature cycle of warm and cold. The Atlantic has been warmer than normal since the late 1980s or the early 1980s, in fact, and therefore, in recent years, as the Pacific cooled, the Atlantic stayed warm. We've seen an increase in rainfall over the British Isles and Ireland, and in recent Octobers and Novembers, amazingly, we've seen a really dramatic increase in precipitation. As for this summer, on the heels, of course, of the wettest summer in the UK in 100 years, we've seen some very warm conditions, very dry conditions, in fact, and it was, in fact, the best summer since 2006. And of course, those warm waters produced by that warm summer has led to a delay in the autumn and winter in terms of the temperatures across the UK. It's remained milder than normal, warmer than normal, and we are now starting to see the change in the feedback of those warm waters to the atmosphere. So rather than supporting a ridge, we've now got, of course, an increasingly colder atmosphere as the days grow shorter. We start to progress towards the winter season, and that feedback, as the pattern shifts around, is now turning to wetter than normal as opposed to more in the way of ridging. You can see here surrounding the British Isles, we've got a lot of warm weather, warm water, should I say, and you can see the warm water extending all the way across the North Atlantic. So as the pattern becomes more west to east, more driven by the Atlantic, we've got areas of low pressure that's forming over this very warm water. Lots of fuel, lots of moisture, and not only this system, but we've got plenty of more wet weather to come in the coming days and weeks as well. As for the storm system that's now currently spinning away over the North Atlantic, we've got, of course, a big temperature contrast. Greenland, temperatures in the central part of Greenland this morning down into the mid minus 40s, while further south we've seen very mild air. That area of low pressure in the centre, drawn warmer up from the south, colder off Greenland, that's supporting a very strong area of low pressure. As you can see here, this is the GFS projected jet stream winds. You can see here the reds indicate some very strong winds in the jet stream at 40,000 feet. Now, in fact, some estimates showed the jet stream ripping across the Atlantic in this general region here at 210 miles an hour. So certainly some very powerful winds. Now, as that, of course, crosses the Atlantic, we've got high pressure that's centered over the European continent. We've got a natural dip in the jet to the southwest of the UK. This here, folks, is the incubation region. This is what I've been saying to my subscribers for the past several days, that as you get all this air piling west to east, coming up against the resistance of this high pressure, it then forces the air to dip into the jet, into the base of the trough, and it bundles the energy. It piles up. It's got nowhere to go. So therefore it winds up into an area of low pressure. And that is exactly what we're going to be seeing over the course of today, tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night. And of course the track of the low crosses the southern half of the British Isles. The reason is we've got that high pressure that's blocking that system from going and continuing west east. It's going to take more of a northeasterly track. As it does so, it's going to continue to deepen. Of course, we've got warmer than normal waters, not only around the southwest of the UK, but surrounding the UK. So it's going to fuel that system as it pushes towards the UK. This is the jet stream pattern slightly further on, and you can see here the speed max approaching the southwest of Ireland and the UK. We've got that dip. We've got the high pressure that's going to pile all this energy up. It's going to all start to rotate, tightening up. The concern about a deepening area of low pressure, folks, is it can transfer stronger and more intense winds in the mid and upper levels down to the surface. And that is what was seen back in 1987. There was strong steam jet winds that started to transfer some of that energy down to the surface, producing those really damaging wind gusts. While I don't think it's going to compare to 1987, we certainly need to watch this like a hawk over the next several days. This is the current chart of the GFS. There's the monster over the North Atlantic. There's your contrast in temperature. Very colder, very warmer, coming together to produce a 960 millibar low. I can see here the high pressure over the European continent. All this energy piling west to east. Now, by the time we get out to, in fact, I want to skip straight back. You can see here for the current chart, this is 6 hours from now. While we're not paying attention so much to this low, we've got this kink in the jet right here. That is the system that's going to potentially bring 80 to 90 mile an hour winds to the UK tomorrow night. So you're saying to yourself, how the heck can this go from something very innocuous, very inadequate looking, in fact, to becoming a very, very prolific wind and rainmaker tomorrow night? You can see here, by the time we skip on towards the 30-hour period, that kink in the jet has got very little change over the course of the 6 to 30-hour period. So it's very interesting to see that. But as we push through from 30 hours to 36 hours, bear in mind that's only 6 hours, it goes from nothing to 980 in millibars. So there is your rapid deepening starting to occur as it starts to come up against that resistance at high pressure over Europe. By the time we go to the period of 42 hours, this is tomorrow night, it's got a 975 millibar low that's riding up the Bristol Channel, perhaps impacting Pembrokeshire, just to the south of the centre. That is where your dangerous damaging winds are going to occur, and it's going to be over Cornwall, Devon, across the south coast of England tomorrow night and into Monday morning. By the time we get out to the period of 54 hours, this is by Tuesday next week, you can see here there's that area of low pressure even deeper now on the south coast of Norway. So it's going to impact significantly southern parts of Norway, Denmark as well, with storm force conditions, heavy rain as well. So it's not just here in the UK that's going to be impacted by this storm system. Now, interesting enough, you think to yourself, this is bad enough. The pattern is loaded at the moment. We've got a positive NAO, we've got a positive AO as well. That is very, very similar in terms of your water temperatures, your Arctic sea ice conditions, and of course your atmospheric conditions overall. Very similar to back in November of 2009, which produced record-breaking rainfall in the UK. Now, as we push through to 192 hours, we've got another 965 millibar low. Yes, it's further north, but it's going to get awfully close to the north coast of the UK, so it could produce more storm force conditions, more heavy rain across the British Isles. Like I said to my subscribers, we've got a period of several weeks of wind, rain, mild conditions affecting the much of western parts of Europe. As for rainfall, this is the 72-hour total precipitation of the ECMWF. The focus of the rain is going to be over the south coast of Ireland, Cumbria, much of Wales, and the southwest of the UK, the southwest of England. And even your 5 day or your 7 day totals has got nearly 5 inches of rain over the West Highlands, Cumbria, northwestern parts of Wales, extending all the way down towards Swansea and Cardiff, and also the southwest of England. So a lot of moisture coming up over the next week or so and beyond, as this pattern is very, very loaded off the Atlantic. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay safe and check out markvoganweather.com for further updates on this upcoming storm event. Bye for now.